Warren?
Well, I'm not sure what would satisfy Ms. Martin at this point. I can't speak for her. But look, wearing cultural items, attire, is something that we should be proud of, right? And the way I look at it, Ontario is made up of lots of different cultures. So people should be able to wear their cultural attire into the legislature, just like anywhere else. So I'm not really sure with regard to Ms. Martin what would make her accept the motion, but I would expect the Premier to bring his team together to do the right thing.
Marit, are you going to welcome Sarah Gemma back into the NDP caucus? The lawyers that we spoke to outside who were banned entry because they were wearing keffiyehs said that they mentioned that to you, that they would like to see her brought back into the NDP caucus. Are you going to do that?
As I said to them, I thank them for the discussion. At this point, we don't have any plan to, but, I'm always open to conversations. I will say this. We had a really excellent conversation this morning with the Arab Lawyers Association about Bill 166 and their concerns. That's why we were having that meeting today, actually, was to talk about Bill 166 and their concerns, along with so many others who are concerned about what this means for our post-secondary institutions. And, of course, the ban on the keffiyeh, which, unfortunately, they had to deal with when they tried to enter the legislature today.
Given that this started when Ms. Gemma wore a keffiyeh to the legislature, someone else, we don't know who, complained to the Speaker, and that's what got all this ball rolling. Why don't you have any plans to welcome her back? I mean, is there just no road back for her into your caucus, and you just want to kind of kick this down the road a bit, or?
Well, as you know, and we talked about this a lot, the issue with Ms. Gemma was about other things, and in terms of our caucus unity, and it doesn't have to do with her wearing of a keffiyeh. It never has. So, but we became aware of this last couple weeks ago when staff in our caucus who wear a keffiyeh every day who are Arab were asked to remove their keffiyeh when they entered the legislature, and that's how we first became aware of this ban.
Omni News. Yes. You're going to table the motion again today. Mm-hmm. Do you have any guarantees from the Premier?
The Premier hasn't offered me a guarantee, but I know he's expressed his support in the past. I hope that he had a chance. I hope that his caucus have had a chance to listen to the people, right? The people of Ontario want us to do this. They want us to do this thing. They want us to do away with the ban on the keffiyeh. And so I hope it will pass today.
So last time you said he has all the leverage, but in a press conference in Oakville on that day, he said that he does not control the legislature. It's all in the hands of the Speaker.
And as the Premier should know, as the Speaker said, a unanimous consent motion like this, he would, of course, honor the will of the legislature. So if the Premier has control of, one would think, his caucus. He had the whole weekend to contemplate what to do. He says he takes a certain position. I would hope that he's had some time to work through why this didn't pass on the floor of the legislature, why his caucus isn't voting entirely in favor of it, and that he will have make sure that his caucus does the right thing today.
There's no way to get around this unanimous consent problem. I mean, getting unanimous consent on this issue seems to be difficult. There are going to be MPPs that are going to say no matter what. So is there no way that the Speaker could change his mind, or is there a way that you could have a majority vote on a motion that would change the rules? How is it that we're stuck with unanimous consent?
Yeah, the Speaker's indicated that he wants a unanimous consent motion from the legislature. He's mentioned that the other day when I introduced it after he suggested it. So that's what he's looking for. And, I mean, honestly, when you have, the leader of the official opposition and the Premier of the province both saying the same thing, pretty rare, you'd think that would be enough, right? Because, again, the Premier is the head of his caucus and his party. So I think this is perhaps a question for the Premier about why, I'm going to assume I'm going in there with the best of intentions, and I believe that this motion will pass because I know that the Premier's had some time now to ensure that he works out a way to make sure this moves forward today with the consent of his entire caucus.
You always want to steer to the Premier, but isn't there really a question for the Speaker? And why is the Speaker doing something that seems to defy the will of almost every MPP, with some exception?
I mean, again, the Speaker's indicated why he chose to do this and that he would require a unanimous consent motion from the Assembly.
But he would also, to Jeff's point, he would have to abide by let's say you put forward a private member's bill or something and got expedited passage of that. He would have to abide by the vote. Presumably the vote would be something like 120 to 4. So
Yeah, we'll look at other options. I mean, that kind of thing takes time, though, right? I mean, this is why I think we all thought once you've got myself, I assume the Premier is we'll see what happens, but once you have that kind of support, I don't see why. I was really shocked. I will be honest. I did not expect that not to pass last time. So the Premier's continue. As far as I'm concerned, again. If the Premier has already said he wants this reversed, it's on him now to. He had a whole weekend to think through, why it's so important to stand up for communities, right? Why it's so important to recognize that the keffiyeh is a part of that tradition and culture and diversity that makes Ontario so special.
Mark, you said you wanted the entire PC caucus, or you wanted the government to have the consent of the entire PC caucus.
Well, I mean, obviously that what I mean is that there be no votes in the when we have a voice vote on the unanimous consent.
Okay. So have you mapped out yet what you're going to do next if it fails?
We'll look at all the options, but as I said, this seems to be the easiest thing to do, the most straightforward, which is why we're doing it. Other avenues are going to take a lot more time, and I would think this would be the easiest one. And again, not many moments where you see us apparently share an opinion about something, and so I would hope that the Premier does the right thing, that his caucus and his team do the right thing.
MPP Robin Martin, this seems like a vote of conscience. I mean, she says that she's willing to face the political repercussions from Premier Doug Ford if she, obviously goes against what his wishes are. Why shouldn't an MPP be able to vote their conscience on an issue as serious as this?
Well, again, I mean, in this case, I think that's between the Premier and his team. And I hope that he will be able to bring his team together to do the right thing.
What do you make of the division on the side of the Conservatives on this particular matter?
Well, again, I mean, I can't speak for the Premier and his team. I hope that he's taken the time and that his caucus members have taken the time to listen to the many, many people, the people of Ontario, who are saying this thing is wrong. This seems unfair. And we don't want Palestinian or Arab people to feel like they don't have a place in our communities or in our legislature. And so I think that I would hope that at this point they've heard those voices, because I certainly have. I've received thousands of calls and emails, people reaching out from all across the province.
Mark?
Just last question. So your motion declared that the keffiyeh was a cultural symbol and not a political one. I believe Robin Martin's problem was with the second part of that. She believes that this time it has also taken on a political meaning. Do you think that there's no way that it could be both cultural and political?
Symbols we are prevented from wearing political symbols or using political symbols in the Legislative Assembly, then I think that just basically supports the ban. If we were to add that, it would just support the ban. So I don't believe that. I think that, sometime, absolutely, lots of things take on political meaning at various moments, but cultural attire that connects to your heritage in the same way, and I've used this example before of, the Ukrainian shirts, right? Which right now is a strong symbol for a lot of people in the Ukrainian community, as well as for many of us who support the Ukrainian cause, right? It's a symbol of pride, just like a keffiyeh is a symbol of pride and culture for Palestinian and Arab people. And I think this but this issue of bringing in, acknowledging it's political in the Legislative Assembly, that would immediately mean that it can't be worn. We don't apply the same thing to other cultural attire.
But wouldn't the unanimous consent allow a political symbol to be worn, or have I misunderstood that?
I think it would. Well, that's not my read, and so I think again, this is a question really for Ms. Martin and for the Premier. The Premier needs to work through, and I think he's had time to do that, to work through what it means to stand up for communities, and to allow those communities to have the freedom to wear their cultural attire and what that means at Queen's Park. And I think I'm hoping that he's taken the time with his caucus and his team to ensure that they do the right thing today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Listening into NDP leader Marit Stiles talking about her concerns with the ban over the keffiyeh within the Ontario legislature. She says she is planning to table a motion, once again, to lift the ban on the keffiyeh within the legislature, looking for unanimous consent, saying this is what the Speaker would need in order to lift that ban. The Premier has also weighed in on this decision that was made last week, as saying he does not support the ban. But we also know some MPPs, including Robin Martin, already saying they would be voting no on this request to lift the ban.